Today we're going to talk about the 3 most underrated stretches for people over the age of 50, in my opinion. I'm going to show you what those stretches are and how you can build them into your home program to make you healthier and happier as a result. If you don't know who I am, my name is Harlow and I'm the Over-Fifties specialist physio here at HT Physio in Farnham, and it's my job to help people like you to remain active, independent, mobile, strong and fit over the age of 50. So I'm going to show you the most underrated stretches in my opinion in just a moment. These are the stretches that I feel get the least airtime but have the biggest bang for your buck. So lots and lots of people over 50 should be doing these if they want to keep active and mobile. But before I show you these stretches, I just need to let you know they're not going to be suitable for absolutely everyone. So do make sure you get checked out by your doctor before you give them a try. Some discretion is needed because if they cause you pain, you probably shouldn't do them. And with that being said, let's have a look now. Today we're going to talk about the 3 most underrated stretches for ages 50 plus, in my opinion. And these stretches are all ones that I give to my clients many times per week. And the reason I think they're so good is because they give you an incredible bang for your buck. But these are also stretches I don't see people paying enough attention to. So I'm going to show you what the stretch is, I'm going to show you why it's so important, and then I'm going to show you how to do it. So the first stretch, and I think this is possibly the most important for ages 50 plus, is the calf stretch. And your calf is this muscle down here in the lower leg. And people think of their calves as a power muscle that helps them to walk, and it definitely is that. But the calf also has an effect on the ankle, the foot, and the knee. And many people develop calf tightness as they get older, especially over the age of 50, and especially people who don't do that much physical activity. And if you have tight calves, it can impinge on your knee, so it can cause compression on the knee joint and affect things like the meniscus, or if you've got arthritis there, it can make it feel worse. And it can also play up the ankle. It can lead to problems like Achilles tendonitis, which is actually an extension of your calf. And it can also contribute to plantar fasciitis and foot pain, especially again if you've already got some arthritis down there. So stretching the calves is super important. Let's have a look at how to do that now. All you need for this exercise is a wall that you can put 2 hands against, and you're going to put the calf to be stretched, or the leg to be stretched, out behind you there. So I'm going to be stretching my left leg here. We want both feet pointing parallel. We want that back heel to be down on the floor, keep in contact with it all the time, and the back leg is going to be straight. And once we're in this setup, all we're going to do is bend that front knee, keeping the back knee straight, bringing our body weight forward until we start to feel a stretch down in that calf there. And this is by far the best way to stretch the calves. There are other ways to do it, but from my point of view, this is the best way. This is the way I use personally. I do this exercise a lot because of my past ankle problems, and it really, really helps to relieve tightness down there. Now, as with all of the stretches we're going to do today, we're going to hold it for 30 seconds, no less than 30 seconds. The research shows that 30 seconds seems to be where we cross a threshold where the flexibility gains we make from stretching become permanent. It's like the muscle almost changes shape if we hold it for that long. But we have to do it multiple times per day. You can do it once on its own, but come back to it multiple times. So for most of these stretches, I would say do them at least 3 times a day, maybe up to 5 times per day if you're really serious about improving them. And then over time, probably in as little as 2 weeks, you're going to notice some difference in your flexibility. So I'm going to show you with the other side as well. So again, you're going to have feet pointing parallel, that heel stays on the ground, this leg stays straight, bend that front knee until you feel a stretch in your calf, and it's a 30-second hold. You might do 1 on each side, go back to your day, and then come back to it later on in the day. And that's the first underrated stretch, the calf stretch. Hope it helps. Before we go any further, I just want to tell you about a very special bonus I've created for viewers of this channel. It's called the Complete Guide to Building Muscle and Strength over the age of 50. And if you're someone who is a little bit confused about how to go about starting the process of building muscle and strength, you don't know what equipment to use or what exercises to choose, this is perfect for you. It's an exclusive 25-minute video that you can't find anywhere else, where I teach you all the ins and outs of building muscle and strength specific for people over the age of 50. So it's one of the best things I've created. I'm giving it totally for free to viewers of this channel. All you need to do is scroll down below this video. There's a link in the description where you can sign up. I'll send you the video straight away and you can get started. It's some of my best info, and if you use it, I hope you enjoy. The second underrated stretch for ages 50 plus is the hip flexor stretch. And your hip flexors are a group of muscles that live at the front of the hip, and they control this movement here. Now, when they contract, they bring your leg up like this, which means this is their shortened position. And if you look at this position of my body, do you notice this being a position we might spend a lot of our time in? Exactly. Whenever we're sat down, this is the position we're in, which means the hip flexor spends a lot of time shortened throughout the day. Now, hip flexor tightness, which results from lots of shortening, can cause pain in your hip, but the most common place for it to cause pain is in your lower back. So this is your spine, and your hip flexors start actually by attaching to the spine. Your psoas major attaches to several vertebrae, and it runs down through the pelvis and attaches to the thigh bone at the front here. So if the hip flexors become tight, remember the muscle goes from here to here, it's going to pull on its bony attachments, and that pulls the spine into this position here, which is an anterior pelvic tilt. Kind of looks like this. So you see many people standing like that when they've got tight hip flexors, and that puts a hell of a lot of stress on the facet joints at the back of the pelvis, because you can see that they're being pushed together, and that can cause impingement and pain down in the lower back. So tight hip flexors, not great for the lower back. Thankfully, really easy to stretch, and this is just a stretch I don't see enough people doing. So I'm going to show you how to do it. We can do it kneeling. So this is my preferred way. So you're going to go down onto one knee, you're going to put the leg to be stretched down on the floor like this, and you're going to sit up really nice and tall. And then you're just going to contract your bottom muscles to roll your pelvis underneath you. Imagine you've got a tail and you're trying to tuck it between your legs, and you should feel a stretch coming down the front of the leg, maybe slightly up higher into the pelvis as well. That means you're really targeting that psoas major, and keep that contraction on as you keep your posture nice and tall. Again, 30-second hold is enough, and I love this stretch because it's active. We're using a muscular contraction to activate a muscle. And this can be such a nice way to also build your connection to your glute muscles, which are underused muscles in most people. So once you've done your 30 seconds, you can swap over. I'm going to show you this way on this time for this leg. So you're going to put this leg up, this one is going to stay down, nice tall posture, and then squeeze your bottom. You can hardly even see the movement, but it's enough to just roll the pelvis underneath me. And now I've got that stretch going all the way down the front of the leg. So I'm just going to keep that nice tall posture, keep that stretch on. And this is a brilliant stretch to do if you've been spending any significant length of time sitting and you want to undo some of the tightness that comes from sitting. Sitting is not bad in and of itself, but if you spend too long sitting and you don't do the opposite, which is stretching out the things that get tight, then you're going to end up with a tightness that develops over time. So this is a great way to undo it, and it can help a lot of lower back trouble. Now, if that was too difficult for you, or you can't kneel because you've got a knee replacement, don't worry. I'm going to show you an alternative to stretch the hip flexors. Again, this is super simple. You just need a wall, and what we're going to do is we're going to put two hands on the wall and the leg to be stretched. The foot is just going to go behind you. And if you can see here, it's just my toes now on the floor. So I've got a flat foot here, just my toes on the floor here. And what I'm trying to do here is take this leg just slightly behind me. So I'm keeping a good posture. The leg goes behind me. And all we're going to do now is just gently sink down into that stretch. And again, try and push that pelvis underneath us by squeezing the bum. And again, I can now feel a stretch again down the front of the leg, very similar to the one I did on the floor. This can sometimes be a little bit more difficult for people to get, which is why I start with the floor one. But if you can't kneel, this is such a good alternative, and it will give you just as good a stretch if you can find it. Now with these stretches, if you can't feel a stretch, nothing's happening. So you need to change your position until you can. But if you feel a stretch, we only need to take it to like a 4 out of 10 intensity. It doesn't need to be 10 out of 10. Actually, 10 out of 10 is probably going to be less helpful than a slight stretch. And then we hold it for 30 seconds. So I'm going to show you again on the other side. So this time we're going to put this leg out behind me. My right set of toes are just on the floor. My left foot is flat. I'm going to keep this leg out behind me here. I'm going to sink down into the stretch and then squeeze my bum, pull my pelvis underneath me just slightly until I feel the stretch down the front of my right leg, this side, and then keep a nice upright posture for 30 seconds as I hold the stretch. Simple as that. Again, just do it once on each side, but come back to it a few times a day and you can undo a lot of the bad things that happen when we sit. And then the final underrated stretch for ages 50 plus is the lats stretch. And your lats are these muscles that live underneath the shoulder, down the side of your back, and they're responsible for these pulling down movements as well as some pulling back like this. Now, your lats become tight because most of our day we spend with our arms down by our sides, which is where our lats are in their shortened position. So then if we try and reach up overhead, sometimes the thing that stops us getting our shoulders up over our head is tightness in the lats because they just haven't been put in that position very often. And I see many people over the age of 50 who I ask them to reach up and they get stuck about here. They can't go any higher, which means it's difficult for them to get stuff in and out of the cupboard, and it's also difficult for them to do certain exercises that would be great for their health. So unlocking these tight lats can be key for many people. So I'm going to show you a couple of variations of this stretch. The first one again involves kneeling. So if you can't kneel, don't worry, I'm going to show you an alternative in just a moment. So for this stretch, we need the back of a chair or a block or something that we can rest our arms on without it giving way. So a chair works really, really well for this. And you're going to kneel on both legs and you're going to put both elbows on the chair like this and just slightly walk your knees away from you here. So this should be your setup position. Your hands can be together, your elbows are rested, so your weight bearing through your knees and your elbows. And all we're going to do now is try and drop down into this position. Now you can see here my natural is to kind of curve the spine, but we can keep a nice stable spine as we do that and just sink into it as if we're trying to push our elbows above our head. Now when I get to this point, I can feel a stretch coming underneath my armpits down into the lats. And it's actually a really nice stretch. Feels like it's trying to help my arms go above my head because we're unlocking the muscle that's preventing that from happening. And you can really just sink into it with your body weight. You don't need to do this in an uncontrolled way. I can easily come out of it any time. But just gently pushing down into that stretch is a great way to feel it underneath the armpits into the lats. And again, we hold for 30 seconds and then relax. And you can repeat that a few times per day for great results with your shoulder health. Now I'm going to show you an alternative if you can't kneel. Let's have a look at that now. Now the alternative we're going to show you today is to do that stretch but using a wall. And this is just as effective, but I prefer the feel on the elbows of the kneeling one, which is why I showed you that first. So I'm going to show you the wall variation here. So we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to take a couple of steps away from the wall. We're going to try putting one elbow on the wall first and then the other one. And then we're going to just drop our head down as we slowly walk away, bend both knees and just try and lean into the wall with your elbows being pushed towards your head or past your head if you can. And then once you get that stretch again, you're just going to hold it for 30 seconds, really just trying to push your body weight down into the stretch. Remember to breathe slowly throughout. And you'll feel yourself just easing into that stretch as you breathe. Then we're going to hold it again, 30 seconds there, come out of that position and go back to your day. And you can come back to that several times per day. So those are the three most underrated stretches, in my opinion, for people over the age of 50. I hope you found this video useful. If you've got something new from it, please do drop a comment below and let us know, because it does help us to improve these videos in the future. And if you want to get more from me, the best way to do that is to grab a copy of my book. It's called Thriving Beyond 50, and it's got loads more stretches like the ones you found in this video inside. It's a great resource for people over 50 who want to remain independent and mobile as they age. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I do really appreciate your time in watching these videos, and I'll speak to you again on the next one.